What Christ wants you to know is that God the Father loves and blesses those who are the peacemakers in this world, because they will be called the children of God. As Jesus of Nazareth once said, Tu bayaun la hudai shlama dawanawi dalaha nikarun. Blessed are those who plant peace each season, they shall be named the children of God. Healthy are those who strike the note that unites, they shall be remembered as rays of the one unity. Elah tin yanah. Aligned with the one or those who prepare the ground for all tranquil gatherings, they shall become fountains of livingness. Healed are those who bear the fruit of sympathy and safety for all. They shall hasten the coming of God's new creation. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because this is an ancient tradition that has been passed on, an ancient quotation from the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the essential Nazarene doctrine safeguarded by the bloodline of Jesus Christ. This quote, this saying in authentic Aramaic, relays an essential truth that we all have to come in terms with. It does reflect on the past, on the Torah, on the Old Testament, saying, "Hear, O Israel, God is one." Now, if you use that as a solemn basis, you will understand that we all come from a place of unity. We all should strive for peace and unity. We all should be in remembrance of the oneness of God. And that is what this quotation reflects upon when he was sharing it with his close disciples and with whomever was interested. Because we're all fruit-bearing trees, but whether the fruit is going to be rotten or beneficial to everything and anything around us depends on our heart and our mind and our consciousness. If we all partake within Christ, we all bear good, healthy, beneficial fruit. If we do not partake in Christ, we all bear spoiled, rotten fruit that corrupts. You can see that in the world, what is going on right now. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be intellectually gifted. You just have to keep your eyes peeled and open and look around you. Things that bear rotten fruit, that cause corruption and chaos and negativity, that doesn't add to new creation, as Christ promised, as Christ talks about. The kingdom of heaven manifested on earth. Now, but if you let Christ reign, not only in your personal life, in your body, in your consciousness, in your soul, in your area, in your living space, in your community, if you let Christ reign free, then the opposite takes place. Good things happen, blessings. You actually are honored to be called the children of God. You become children of God because you receive the title, because you partake, because you contribute, because you do the opposite of the world, what the world demands, what the world wants from you. And that's the beauty of being aware of Christ, of being Christ conscious. And that's something we all should keep in mind. People that go against Christ, that are by default anti-Christ in mindset, in their beliefs, they reject this very notion. They do not want this establishment on earth because they care more about power, luxury, modernity, control, dominion, corruption, pollution. You know, they're obsessed with material things of this world that are there to destroy your soul. That's why Christ always warned us of what true sin actually is. One of the biggest sin that Christ talks about, that he shared with Mary, that he shared with the apostles, that he shared with his close gathering, with the community, was that the biggest sin you can do as a human being on earth right now is to identify with the earthly things, with the earthly realm. So how many types of identities you can find in different types of religions, man-made religions? If you adopt that identity, if that becomes you, then you already committed a grave sin against God, against Christ, the Christ. That's something we should keep in mind. It is very crucial and it's very important. People that think that sin only happens by doing bad and negative things and that defines sin as the highest, in the highest degree. Sin starts as a little seed planted inside of you. If you have to divide the world in clean and unclean things, you forget one crucial thing. It is not what goes out, it's not what comes in your mouth, what goes through your system, what comes in your body that defiles and corrupts and is sinful, that is unclean, it pollutes. It's what comes out, what stores, that roots itself in your mind, in your soul, in your spirit, that you vocalize, that you express physically, verbally, emotionally with your thoughts towards other things, people, yourself. Negativity, negative thoughts, negative words, negative speech, negative acts. That is the true sin. That is true sin. That's sinful nature. If you think that you can smile in front of one person, but in your heart and in your mind, in your being, you feel hateful or resentful towards that person, then you're committing a sin that can't really be forgiven because it goes against one of the two commandments that Christ revised, relayed, quoted directly to everybody, is if you cannot treat your neighbor equally to yourself, then you already are transgressing against God. So that goes in similitude with what I just said. And that's so crucial and important these days. We believe that participating in worldly affairs, whether it's positive or negative, but most of the time, come on, be honest, it's negative, that's going to benefit us because we're fighting a righteous fight. We're being righteous in whatever we believe or whatever religion we identify with. But we forget what Christ taught us. We forget the presence of Christ in our lives. So how can we bear good fruit and a positive end result if we completely shun whatever Christ said? That shows that we have an antichrist spirit mindset. We're opposing Christ. We're not accepting Christ. And that is destructive. That is negative. That is harmful. That is a painful thing to experience in the world. And that's what we're seeing all around us. Everything gets twisted, everything gets turned, everybody has their self-sense of righteousness. But nobody talks out of Christ's righteousness. Christ's judgment, Christ's correction, Christ's righteousness, Christ's salvation, solving people, healing people, transforming people, creating new creation within yourself, without yourself, so above, so below, so below, so above. You cannot understand these basic rules, universal law, Torah, as Christ truly taught, the real Torah. You're lost sheep. You're a lost sheep. You need to be brought in again. But free will comes in play, and evil is at bay, but always wants to reel you back in and take away you in your relationship, wants to disrupt you in the relationship with Christ. Christ is eternal, present at all times. Christ never departs you. But as long as the temptation gets the upper hand, Christ weeps when these things happen, because to Christ, you're lost sheep, lost children that need salvation, solving, redemption, renewal. These aspects are so crucial for anybody that's out there. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, or what you're struggling with right now. But the important part is to accept and understand the position of Christ. Not only what it meant for us during the time Christ walked the earth, but also Christ in the spiritual afterlife and the influence Christ has upon us now until this day. There are forces at work, there are things at play that we think we know what we're doing because we're going in whatever direction feels right. But it's not because it feels right that it represents Christ's righteousness. Well, I hope this gave you some insight and inspiration. I hope the original Aramaic quotation that Christ spoke upon his disciples, whomever wanted to hear, will penetrate your heart and will give you some more clarity on what you need to do in your journey.